What is going on, guys? Mikey P here, and I'm back with the regular season finale of the D&M show. Once again, Dom is not here, but we will continue on looking back at last week's results. It was a bad week for both of us. Dom went 6-10. I went 9-7. So I pulled ahead going into the final week by 3. Sporting a 146-92 record, while Dom sports a 143-95 record. So Dom went against what we usually do this week. He actually has 6 games that differ from mine, and hoping that he can come back and win, or at least tie, and have the postseason be our tiebreaker. So just going to do a quick rundown of this week's picks. Starting with Baltimore at Cincinnati. I have Baltimore. Dom has Cincinnati. I don't think A.J. Green's going to play. I think the coaches want him to be 100% for next season. So I think that's a big factor for Cincinnati, considering Baltimore, while they are eliminated from the playoffs and they aren't playing for much, this is Steve Smith's final game. He is 89% sure he is retiring. But Baltimore proved all year that they can hang in with the big dogs in the AFC. They just couldn't get over the hump and make the playoffs. So I think Baltimore will continue to play at a higher level. And since Cincinnati just hasn't been that good of a team this year, so Baltimore should win this game. Next up, we got Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Me and Dom both have Indy. Indy should win this game. They are just clearly the all-around better team. Jacksonville did upset Tennessee last week, but I don't think it's going to happen here, even though mathematically I'm pretty sure Indianapolis has been eliminated from playoff contention. So there's not much to be playing for other than pride in this game. But that aside, you always play to win, and I think Indianapolis is going to have more opportunities to win this game. Next up, we got New England at Miami, and I see it really unlikely that Miami wins this game as much as they need to for a playoff. I'm not sure if that's seeding or to secure their spot, but either way, it's going to be very hard for them to. Even if Belichick pulls his starters out the second half, you got the Patriots, man. They're the Patriots. They are what they are. They've been this way for the last decade. They're a juggernaut. They might not always look like they have a stacked roster, but Belichick is a mastermind. He knows what he's doing. And even if the players aren't superstars, he still finds a way to make everything work out in their favor. And that's what's going to happen in Miami this weekend. Next up, we got Chicago at Minnesota. Dom has Chicago. I have Minnesota. It's really a toss-up here. That's why Dom went with Chicago. He really just took teams in games where it could really go either way. I took Minnesota because as bad as that defense has been recently, they are still one of the better defenses in the league. You got Mac Barkley and I can't say poor offense, but certainly not a good offense in Chicago. And then you flip the script, you got a poor offense in Minnesota and not a horrible defense in Chicago. So it's really a toss-up here. I do see the edge going to Minnesota just because they are at home. With that being said, Minnesota wins in my book. Next up, we got Buffalo at the Jets. Me and Dom both have Buffalo. Jets have just been a train wreck this season. Can't really blame anyone but the front office and my beliefs. If all the shenanigans that went on during the offseason and that franchise didn't happen, we could be looking at a team that was in playoff contention at least at some point earlier this season. That being said, Buffalo has been eliminated. Rex Ryan and his brother are out of Buffalo. And I believe it was the running back coach that stepped up. Running back coach, offensive coordinator. I'm pretty sure it was running back coach. But Buffalo sports the better offense out of the two and the better defense out of the two. No, I guess we'll see what that defense can actually do this week. But Jets have just sucked. Buffalo has hanged in there. They were in playoff contention up for the last few weeks, but now they're out of it, so they're really just playing for pride. This interim coach is basically this is his show. He's making his case for the head coach spot of the Buffalo Bills for next season. So you can best believe he's going to prepare this team as best as he can to go beat the Jets and to put his foot in the door for the head coaching job. Next up, we got Dallas and Philly. Both got Dallas. Dallas is, I believe they're playing their starters for at least part of the game. Tony Romo is not the backup. Mark Sanchez is. So I think it comes down to how big of a lead the first team gets on Philly to who wins this game. But overall, I do think Dallas is better. I think the Eagles' first team players, at least most of them, guys who aren't really injury prone, are going to be out there for the whole game. Maybe the whole team's out there for the whole game. I don't know. But I think Dallas is more of a solid team, even with their depth, besides Mark Sanchez. And you got to think they're not going to be pulling all their starters. They're going to pull Dak, Zeke, Dez, few defensive players. Maybe the whole line. Probably not, though. Probably just a few key pieces of their offensive line. And let the second string guys play. Let them get some experience in case an injury happens in the playoffs. But besides all that, Dallas is just a better team. Next up, we got Cleveland at Pitt. And Cleveland got their first win. And it was a good thing they got it last week against San Diego, because it was probably their last chance to get it. I know AB, Le'Veon, and Ben are being benched this game for playoff health reasons, but I still don't see Cleveland being able to beat the rest of the starters on this team. While those three guys are a huge part of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, you still got D'Angelo Williams, you got some not as big receivers, but Eli Rogers has had a pretty good season up in Pittsburgh coming along now. And you got Lourdes Green. I guess you can say it depends on how long they let the players play. But at the end of the day, it's still Cleveland. It's still a rivalry game for these two. And I really don't see Pittsburgh being able to tolerate losing to the Browns and heading into the playoffs. Next up, we got Carolina at Tampa Bay. Dom has Carolina. I have Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is playing... No, they were actually eliminated, but I still think they're going to play for more pride. There is a very slim chance I think they make the playoffs, but there's a whole lot of shit that needs to happen. But Dom has Carolina clearly because this is a game that could be metaphorically in a toss-up, and you still got Cam Newton, it's Cam Newton. Like, Dom's a big Cam Newton fan, so maybe that's why he picked him. I don't fucking know. But Carolina, slow start. Starting to come along now, starting to heat up. So they are looking to end the season on a high note, especially against a Tampa Bay team that is metaphorically still in the playoff hunt. But I think Tampa Bay, even without Doug Martin, is going to get the victory here. Jameis Winston to Mike Evans, their tight end, is a huge connection. And you got the defense who is low-key pretty good. So it's two things that Carolina really has to look to stop and look to get past. Next up, we got Houston at Tennessee. Dom has Tennessee. I have Houston. I don't see how Tennessee is going to win this game solely on the back of DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. Houston has had a pretty good turnaround the last 2 weeks with Savage as their starting quarterback now. So I think Houston's offense has really started to come along. Savage realizes he has the weapons around him to help this offense succeed, and he's been throwing it to Hopkins a hell of a lot more than Osweiler ever was. So Houston's looking strong, especially heading into the playoffs, and I see them not blowing out Tennessee, because Tennessee, yeah, they could, because I really don't know who's playing quarterback for Tennessee, because I know they got rid of Zach Mettenberger. So it could be a rough one, or a rough finale for you Tennessee fans out there. But Houston's looking good, and I think Houston's going to win. Next up, we got New Orleans at Atlanta. Atlanta is playing to secure their playoff spot, so expect a, not blowout, but a good game between these two. They usually match up pretty well. Two high-scoring offenses here with bad and low-key, not low average defense. But you got Julio Jones, number 3 in the league with receiving yards, and he's been out a few weeks. And they are the top scoring offense in the league this year, and I'm pretty sure they can break the top 10 of most all-time highest scoring offenses, depending how many points they score against the Saints this week. But look for the Atlanta Falcons to slam their foot down on the gas pedal and not let up until that fourth quarter timer hits 0. Next up, we got the Giants at Washington. Dom has the Washington Redskins. I have the New York Giants. As always, never going against my team, and look where we at now. But on a serious note, it's really going to be interesting. The Giants do have some key injuries to their defense, so I think some players will still get rested. Offensively, I see the offense starting because they need to work through these struggles to get the offensive rhythm going for the playoffs. So I do think the offense as a unit will start the game, but Ben McAdoo will not let some of these players come out until they work through some issues. If Eli Manning comes out there and throws some interceptions, McAdoo's going to make him go back out there, and he's going to have to work through it. He could be out there for 1 or 2 drives. He could be out there the whole game. It really depends on how this offensive looks as a unit. And even at the defense, it looks how the defense looks as a unit. The defense has been balling out recently. So if they continue to do that, a lot of starters might come off towards the end of the first half. But if they look like Washington's just letting them march all over them, they might make them stay out there and work through it because it's playoff time and they know what's at stake. But besides all that, the Washington Redskins need to win this game to get in the playoffs. And since it is a rivalry game, just like every other game in Week 17, I don't see the Giants just letting them walk all over them at the same time. They would love to hand it to the Washington Redskins that their season is over. Next up, we got Oakland at Denver. And this is another toss-up game where Dom has Denver. I have Oakland. And it was kind of a hard one for me here. Denver, which just... oh man, it was not a good year for Denver. And really, you gotta look at it like this: the defense is really not what they were last year. The offense is garbage. All right, listen, you got injured running backs. You got a poor offensive line. You got a 7th round quarterback as your starter. He's not Tom Brady, man. All right, he's not some late round draft pick you guys found, and he's going to turn around your franchise. He's not gonna do that. He's Trevor Siemian. All right, he only can do so much. With that being said, flip the script to Oakland. Derek Carr has a broken fibula and is done for the season. This immaculate season Oakland has had now is a very questionable playoff appearance. They're playing for a first round bye in this game, which would be huge help for them to be able to figure out, 1, what their game plan is going into the divisional round, and 2, how confident they are with their quarterback now. So, believe this. Derek Carr is a good quarterback, but he also had key pieces surrounding him. It wasn't just Derek Carr making things work in Oakland. It was Derek Carr along with the offense making things work in Oakland. That defense is going to have to step up big time, but the offensive weapons are still there. If they can make a game plan to work with McGloin, Oakland might not reach the Super Bowl, but they'll definitely make some noise in the playoffs. Next up, we got Arizona at LA, and both of us have Arizona winning. LA is garbage. Arizona is garbage too, but defense is it's pretty nice. It's a bad Rams offense, so the defense should be able to have a good day. And you got David Johnson in the backfield. You got Larry Fitzgerald, John Brown on the outside. It's a really bad mismatch for the Rams. We both have Arizona winning. Next up, we got Kansas City at San Diego. Kansas City is in the playoffs, so look for them to probably start their starters, but end up benching a lot of them definitely by the second half. San Diego looking just to bounce back from a horrible loss to the Browns last week to finish off their season. But what I see happening here is Kansas City, even though their starters will see a significant less time playing, for them to still get the W to finish off the season. Next up, we got Seattle at San Fran. We both have Seattle in this game. Don't really see it going any other way. I do know as a Giants fan that if somehow San Fran pulls off a crazy upset, we do go to Seattle wildcard weekend. So please, San Fran, don't pull off that wild upset. But while they did lose Lockett last week, while they are still without Earl Thomas, this team is just better off against what San Fran has to offer. Offense and defense are concerned in the playoffs for Seattle, in my opinion, but in this Week 17 matchup, it's an easy win. And to finish it all off on Sunday night of Week 17 of the regular season in 2016, or no, it's going to be 2017, but it's the 2016 season, is Green Bay at Detroit, and this is for the NFC North. Me and Don both have Green Bay. Detroit has fallen off what has been a miracle season for Detroit, as many are calling it. Green Bay has run the table since Aaron Rodgers has said we can run the table. So I expect that high-flying offense that has finally resurged in Green Bay to continue what they have been doing recently in Detroit to not only win, but seal the deal for the NFC North. And that wraps up the regular season editions of the D&M show. I hope you all had a great holiday and an even better New Year's. So until 2017, guys, peace!